How y'all doing? All right, so first off, let me tell you a quick story. Actually, let me tell you about my best friend, Angel. See, Angel is an actor and a model, right? So when it comes down to actors and models, usually, they treasure their face. Their face is, their number one thing, right? That's their job. That's their one thing that they, every single day, that's just their thing, right? So keep that in mind as one day, Angel likes to come over and sometimes he tries to scare me because I don't really get scared easily. Except when I do get scared, sometimes I swing. So he comes in one time, I'm in the kitchen, I'm whipping it up, right? He comes from behind me, and he comes up, and he sneaks up, and he just, right, real quick. And I was like, oh, out of pure reaction, I literally grabbed the frying pan and ding, right over his head. Homie was on the floor, he was bleeding from the top of his head, and he had this cut, and he sat there, and he started crying, and I was like, man, did that really hurt? And so, I'm like, yo, you're weak, come on now. And he's crying, and he's like, no, it hurts, but that's not why I'm crying. He said, I'm crying because from now on, all I'm going to be identified by is this cut. All I'm going to be identified by is this scar after it heals up. And even then, it's not even going to be fully healed. And see, sometimes I feel like we could be the same way when we go through some type of pain, when we go through some type of abuse, when we get ourselves in a situation that we don't like, sometimes the only thing we see when we look in the mirror is the scar. And we identify ourselves by that scar. Let me tell you a few things about scars. A few fun facts about scars, right? Number one. Your scar is unique. Your scar is exactly what you have, right? Exactly what it looks, right? The way it bends, the way it's shaped, everything. Your scar is unique. And what that tells me is that the pain that you went through, the hurt that you went through, the trauma that you went through, man, only you know what you went through. We can relate, but we don't know exactly what you went through, but there's a God who does. There's a God who knows exactly the pain you've gone through. There's a God who knows exactly the season that you're in. But let me tell you right now, God doesn't want you to stay in that season. No, he's saying, I got something new for you. In Isaiah 43, 18 and 19, it says, forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. See that I'm doing a new thing. See, the problem is that sometimes we sit there and we dwell on our things. We look into the mirror and the only thing we identify ourselves by is the scars and the pain that's behind that scar. The pain that comes every time we look at that one mark. But let me tell you, God doesn't want you to sit there. God is saying, have something new. You are not identified by your scars. Your pain is only temporary. My second fun fact is that scars, they're going to take a while to heal. But the thing is that if you treat it faster and you treat it with the right things, it will heal a lot faster. And it'll heal exactly how you want it. And the point that it won't even be there. Now, how many of you guys will actually take advice? We're all kind of college age, right? So all of us are trying to get married and stuff like that. How many of you guys will take advice, marriage advice, from a 5-year-old boy or a 5-year-old girl, right? None of y'all. I hope not. All right. So with that being said, right, we wouldn't take advice from somebody, from a little kid, especially if it's about marriage. So why would we take advice from people who are still dwelling in their own pain? See, sometimes we only want to hear what we want to hear and not what we need to hear. And sometimes we sit there and we reject our authority and the things that God has placed, the people that God has placed in us and around us so that we can be encouraged, empowered, and man, be ready to move past that scar. Be ready to be identified by something else. See, God placed specific people in authority here. He placed our leaders, our pastors, our counselors to help you get out of your identity, help you get out of that identifying yourself by that scar. Proverbs 19, 20 to 21, it says, listen to counsel and accept discipline, that you may be wise the rest of your days. Many plans are in a man's heart, but the counsel of the Lord will stand. We need to stand firm on what God tells us. Sometimes we go to God and we get upset when he tells us something that we don't want to hear. But it's not about what we want, it's about what we need. And God is saying, I need you to go. I need you to stop looking at yourself and only seeing the pain and the hurt. I need you to stop identifying yourself and talking about it all the time. Oh, look at me, I'm so hurt. No, it's time for us to go and get up. You are not your scars. Your pain is only temporary. And your pain needs healing. That scar needs healing. The third and final fun fact, and it says, there's a reason that your scars are red. And I did a little bit of research of University of Rochester Medical Center. They state, in order for the new skin to be formed at the injury site, blood must be supplied to cover the location. I don't know if y'all caught that. In order for the new to be formed, blood must be supplied to cover. In order for the new to be formed, you must be covered by the blood. Too many times, we're sitting here basking in our pain, basking in all this. But man, there's a man who died on the cross for you to live. He said, I bore the scars so that you have the right to live, so that you can be free from the scars, so you can be free from your pain. My God, we sit here, we identify ourselves by the scars, and God's saying, I need you to identify yourself as a son and a woman of Christ. I need you to identify yourself in me. I am in you. Galatians 6:17 is from now on, let no one cause trouble for me, for I bear on my body the brand marks of Jesus. We shouldn't identify ourselves by our own scars and the pain that we have. Instead, that should be a testimony and talks about Jesus, how he brought us out of that. Galatians 2:20 says, I have been crucified with Christ. It is no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me. And the life I now live in the flesh, I live by faith in the Son of God alone, who loved me and gave himself for me. When was the last time you looked in the mirror and you sat there and you realized, man, I'm a son of God. Man, I'm a woman of God. I'm a daughter of God. Because too many times we sit here and identify ourselves by our scars. And we sit there and we dwell on that. Man, let me challenge you today. Kind of go back and change your perspective on how you see yourself. You are not your scars. You are a child of God. Thank you.